Welcome to the Deconstructing Data podcast. I'm Jessie Lezak, CMO at BDEX, along with David Finkelstein, BDEX's co-founder and CEO. Hey, David, what's new in your world?
Hey, Jesse. Doing well here. Been busy as usual, and working on some exciting stuff that we'll be launching in June. So looking forward to telling the world about it. But for now, I'm excited about our next guest here on Deconstructing Data.
Same here. Yeah, we've already been talking to her backstage, and I think we're in for a really great conversation. So today we are excited to welcome in Lilit Davtyan, the CEO of Phonexa, excuse me. And as Phonexa's CEO, Lilit shapes the all-in-one performance marketing automation suite for calls, leads, clicks, email, SMS, accounting, and more by leading the company's business development, strategic growth, client relationships, operational transformation, and financial health. Lilit's formerly served as the company's CFO, overseeing an average of $200 million in revenue yearly throughout Phonexa Holdings and its related entities. So let's get ready to honor her and bring her in. I'm excited to welcome her here. Welcome to the show, Lilit.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Jesse and David. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you kick us off? Give us a little bit about your background. We'd love to hear about where you came from, what led you to Phonexa, and a little bit more detail beyond what Jesse just gave about what Phonexa does and how it helps its customers. Love to hear you kick us off.
Sure thing. I appreciate it. So my background's a little unconventional. I am actually a CPA by profession. I did the whole route of, I went to school, I got my CPA license, I did the Big Four experience, loved it. It exposed me to a lot of large clients and the importance of data when whether it relates to taxes and audits or actually monitoring and managing data. And so when I had the opportunity to join a technology firm, it was really exciting to be able to use that experience towards companies and actually serving the companies from a technology perspective on their data. As far as the company goes, Phonexa is, like Jesse said, an all-in-one suite for anything data. And the key part of that is anything real-time data, which I'm sure we'll get to. But the software itself is meant to serve marketers and brands in terms of their tracking for their leads and their clicks and their calls, and then eventually do retargeting for consumers through email and SMS, and overall just give the tools and the ability for companies to give the consumer experience and optimize the consumer experience, so both sides of the funnel actually benefit from the whole relationship.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's some journey from CPA to CEO. I love it.
Yeah. And CFO in there between.
Yeah, that's true. But
there were more titles in between, but yeah,
it's a great journey. And you, before the show, you told us a little bit about the Phonexa journey itself. And so I think that's an interesting story to tell as well. It's like the growth of a company that's starting out in affiliate marketing and then, being able to service, all these different needs for your customers. Tell us a little bit more about that. Let's let our listeners hear about that.
Totally. So when I joined the group of companies that is now in existence, essentially before Phonexa existed, we were actually an affiliate marketing company for a specific niche industry, which is the financial services space. And so it's kind of a funny journey because, it was a startup at the time. And within a couple of years, we were doing so well in terms of our affiliate marketing that the idea was, hey, our technology is the one powering all of this, the data, the consumer experience, the real-time tracking. Why don't we come up with an ability to offer that from a licensing perspective to other companies, whether they're other affiliate networks or their brands trying to optimize their own marketing campaigns. And so Phonexa was actually born later after I joined. So I've been with the group for about 8.5 years. Phonexa is about 6 years old. And we've seen astronomical changes in terms of regulatory environment and the need to have better tracking and attribution. And so what we've done in the past few years since Phonexa was born is listen to our clients. What are they looking for? What are their consumers looking for? How can we help them bring everything into one place in order to provide the best customer experience, but also provide the best visibility from their perspective to offer the services that they're trying to offer to the consumers in a way that makes sense for the company. And that is actually still a big challenge with whether it's the different types of marketing out there that you're trying to learn and understand, and how data is feeding into those marketing efforts, and also the regulatory environment based on the industry you're in, based on the type of data you're collecting and what you're doing to the data. And so it's a big challenge. And as a technology company, whether it's us or somebody else, it's kind of our duty to be well informed to give our customers, our clients, the type of service that they need in order to service their clients.
It's awesome. That's a great story. And the story of you taking a product that you're basically using internally, right, and successfully, and turning it into a product that you can help other customers with. And a lot of people don't know this story about Amazon and AWS, but that's exactly how AWS was.
You have to be the user, to be able to give them the best experience.
Yeah, Amazon built that technology for themselves, and then said, "Wow, this is working so well for us. We should build a service off of this and help other people do it as well." So it's a great story. And it's great to hear, how you guys have taken that transition of being in affiliate marketing to helping others in that space as well. And so I think, Jesse, let's jump right into our first topic, right?
Let's do it. I'll pull it up here. Yeah. So we've got some sirens in the background. I'm guessing that's maybe in LA, but so the big
always
problem,
in LA.
We're going to talk about the big problem. It's not the sirens. We're talking about tying publishers and affiliate outcomes to business outcomes. Can you kick us off on this one, Lilit?
Sure. I think that is definitely a topic that has been apparent for a long time. It has been a challenge for a long time, and it will continue to be a challenge for a long time. But the good news is there's definitely a way to overcome the challenge in a way that makes sense for everybody. But essentially, tying affiliate marketing to actual results comes with the idea that do you even understand what affiliate marketing is and how affiliate marketers actually specialize in marketing, right? So for example, as an affiliate network, you might be working with publishers and affiliates that specialize in very specific areas of marketing. They could be anywhere from Google Ads to really good email optimization, to cookie tracking, to click tracking, to call center outbound outreach to customers. And so if you understand those, the next challenge comes into how do you tie them together, right? So you have the idea that a consumer that is looking for a product, and usually when you're in a direct-to-consumer market and a high-traffic direct-to-consumer market, you're usually in a pretty urgent service space, right? So these consumers are out there, they're online, they're looking for something, and they expect it right away. So one day, today, one consumer might actually reach out to you on your web form, but tomorrow they might call you. And so if you're using multiple different systems and you're not tracking them in real time, you might actually not be able to give the consumer the type of experience that they need, because you can identify all of those sources of traffic as the same consumer. And so from the consumer's perspective, the sad part is, they don't really care what you're using, how you're tracking. They want their service that they're applying for, or they're reaching out to you for, or their product, and they expect it. And they expect it in a timely manner based on the actual product or service. And so, the job of the affiliate marketer or the brand that is using affiliates to market to consumers, their job is to make sure the consumer gets what they need. And that is really the challenge when it comes to, tracking the marketing efforts into the actual results.
Yes, consumers don't care about your attribution tools.
They don't.
Yeah.
And it becomes a challenge, right, based on our limitations on how we can track certain things about where consumers are coming from, whether it's on via the web or an app or even in a call center, right?
Or a
And so,
live stream.
yeah,
That's right.
and so that's a big challenge to that that you're solving there is being able to connect all those dots together.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And I feel like it's getting harder as a marketer to track attribution, just with dark social, if you want to call it that. But, so many brands are out there on social media, and a lot of these things are not trackable.
Yeah, and how do you take someone that may have gone, clicked on an ad, gone to your website, looked at some information, maybe they didn't, fill out a form or anything, and then 2 days later they make that decision to make that phone call and call.
Yeah.
So,
And what is and the key part is how quickly do you actually respond to the consumer inquiry, regardless of where they came from, right? Like I mentioned, they might be looking for something urgently. And so if you're using multiple different tools and you're doing like once a week export, even once a day export, by the time you can analyze the consumer's need, you might actually be too late. You've either lost this consumer to another product, or the consumer is just dissatisfied with the response rate. And so that is actually a really key point when it comes to consumer demand service companies. You really need to make sure that the consumer gets their result whenever they actually need to. But the only way to really do that is to have proper real-time tracking tools and ability.
Absolutely.
and that's a lot of data to sift through.
That's right. Yeah.
Definitely. So what about during economic downturns? So could you discuss the outcomes-based approaches, and how you could change those to improve during, the hard times?
Yeah, I mean, economic downturn, we're seeing it now. We've seen it in the past. And so what usually happens is your business doesn't stop, right? You don't want your business to stop. And hopefully you're in a type of business where even during an economic downturn, you can optimize internally in a way where you can still survive. And so at the end of the day, usually consumers will still be looking for products, and you still have to spend money on marketing. But coming from a finance CPA background, marketing is a large expense on a P&L, and usually it's not properly tracked, and so it could actually be cut down if it's optimized properly. And the reason I say that is because you can have your $1 million budget for marketing and allow the marketing team to use it as is, but if you're not tracking conversions after marketing, you could be spending money on the same thing multiple times, or you could be spending money on things that actually don't convert. And so during an economic downturn, that's when you need to have, whether it's with your CFO or internally with your executives, look at the financials and look at exactly where marketing spend is going and how it's actually converting, so you can decide what is your new budget. Or if you're trying to keep the budget, why don't you do some A/B testing? That's a really big point to do when it comes to marketing. You always want to figure out different ways to offer marketing to consumers where they want to convert faster with you too. It's so that goes both ways. So the consumers might really like your product, but they might just need the product so badly that if you're not targeting them on time, they might get it somewhere else, but they would have preferred to work with you. And so if you've done the analysis internally and you have major marketing campaigns in a way where it's more targeted, maybe less spend or more spend but better converted tracking, I think that even during an economic downturn, you can really still spend your money, but in a much better way to convert more revenue from it.
It's true, and it's a great point. It's something we talk to our customers about all the time, which is improving your targeting. You could be spending whatever it is, because I'll use your example, spend $1 million on an ad campaign that is reaching a certain number of people, and maybe within that audience, and it's a massive audience, but maybe only 10 or 20 or 30% of that audience is truly who you need to reach. And so if you can improve your targeting and only, sort of narrow it down to that 30%, you can save a lot of money on your ad campaign.
That's right.
It's an important thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's like they feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to just blanket social media and I'm going to advertise to everybody. But, the reality is you're often spending a lot of money reaching a lot of people that are not your true audience. And so if
Yeah.
you can
And
hone
the other
in on
part is definitely. And the other part is are you spending money on an ad campaign because that's just the thing most companies do? Or are you really
Mm.
understanding your consumers? Do your
right?
consumers even look at ads? Like, have you segmented your consumer market to say, okay, these types of consumers prefer ads in over text or over email, or they actually do go online and do shopping and they want to see the highest sponsored ads? Or they might be wanting to be reached out by your call center instead and talk to a real life person. There's different types of consumers. So putting all of your money into one ad campaign is definitely not going to work for your entire demographic of consumers. And so understanding your segmentation is also very important when it comes to marketing and optimizing.
Oh, that's absolutely right. And the segmentation is super important because you could be segmenting your audience to certain products, to certain people, certain times of the day. I mean, the
That's
reality
right.
is some people are shopping in the evening, other people are shopping during the day. If you knew just that about your audience, you could save a ridiculous amount of money.
Totally.
Yes, I am that consumer. I get like text messages at 11 p.m. and telling me about all the latest like kids clothes deals, and it's brilliant because that's when I'll shop. That's when I'll actually look at what they're sending me. So I personally appreciate it.
Yeah.
But let's transition into the next topic. Martech challenges and data silos. They plague visibility into performance, marketing, and partner marketing attribution. Can you kick us off on this one, Lilith?
Yes. So data silo is a big deal. And so first we talked about how to actually put all of your data in one place to have better visibility, real-time tracking, and conversion. But it's not always feasible, right? Like you can't, go and buy a system that does Google Ads for you. You still have to go into Google Ads and set up your campaigns. So, as a company that's looking to optimize marketing, what you definitely want to look into is how do your tech stack actually talk to each other? And so you can use multiple different systems and tools, but you definitely need to make sure that they all speak the same language. They can all have an API integration together, and they give you real-time responses in a way where you're looking at it on a regular basis, and you're making changes as needed. Because if your data, like I mentioned before, if you have to do once a week export of your data from all of these tools because your tools don't talk to each other, or you didn't spend the time to actually integrate them, you're running into a big problem. Whether that's a problem from a consumer experience, which it usually will be, or it's a problem by now you have to have 3 additional people in your team or 5 data scientists in order to even analyze the data, when a simple integration might actually give all of the tools for one person to analyze it. If you're not tracking those things, you are actually spending indirect costs. Again, my CPA hat went on. Now you're spending a lot of indirect costs. You're having more people look at the same thing, and sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to optimizing data is also not productive. And so I think that the Martech challenge of siloed data can be easily done. And I also encourage clients to talk to their current tools. It doesn't mean you have to go out and find the next tool that actually does integrate. Maybe they have the ability, or maybe it's something that they will do for you because they see the challenge as well, and it's important because, like us, we listen to our clients. If our clients think that this is a challenge and we brainstorm and we think, oh my God, this actually might be a challenge for other clients, we will implement that feature or that ability or that integration to make the client's life easier, which in turn is a direct benefit to the consumer.
It's a great point. We've got a comment from DW down here. I'll pull it up. Here, I'll switch places there. The one thing that has always bothered me is getting ads for weeks for something I already bought online. They are trying to convince me to buy something I bought. By buying it, I got all sorts of lists of might be interested. It's bad data.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's another, it's exactly what you just described, right? Systems not talking to each other, and therefore whoever's running those ads clearly has no clue that he's already bought that item, and so now they're wasting that money, and so we're back.
For sure.
We're back in that same position where all this money is being wasted advertising to the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a funnel format, right? So when it comes to retargeting, everything should go into one place for retargeting. So whether you're using 10 different tools and your consumers are coming from 10 different places, when you're trying to reach back out to this customer and you don't have the ability to see they've already purchased this product, maybe they want to see a complementary product. They don't want to see the same product because it's frustrating. But that doesn't mean that you lose this consumer. You can actually really give them a better experience. Let's just take like home service as an example, right? They had a roofing problem. The consumer had a roofing problem. They're not going to change their roof for years. Like, you don't want to target them again in 2 months and say, hey, do you need a roofing service? But they might have a plumbing issue. They might have other things because they do own a home. For all homeowners, like, it's a really complicated thing to do. Like, it's beautiful to own a home, but it does have its own challenges. And so that's just one example of a consumer type that you can retarget to in a way where they're actually really happy to get your ads because they are looking for these types of service. But if you don't know your consumer and your consumer's demographic and their actual needs, you will absolutely be wasting money and making them upset at the same time.
Definitely.
Yep.
Let's transition to our third topic here. This one we were talking a little bit about pre-show, how to stay compliant when partners and affiliates are doing lead generation. So can you kick us off here?
Yes, this is an ongoing topic globally. Actually, there's a lot of data privacy laws that have come out in different countries now, in different states, and then even within regions of different states. And so, as much as I want to tell you, affiliates are all regulatory compliant and they are doing everything right, at the end of the day, they specialize in this and they want to get their marketing done in a way that's going to convert. And so sometimes you, as an affiliate marketer, you have to put on the big pants and you have to educate them. But in order to educate them, you have to stay on top of compliance. So one thing that we did discuss earlier, obviously GDPR, very familiar. People are still trying to make sure that their technology is optimized for GDPR and their services are compliant with GDPR. But when it comes to working with third-party companies such as affiliates and publishers, the challenge is, are they well educated? Do they have enough tools? And are you having those conversations with them? Because nobody wants to get out of business. They don't want to be non-compliant because at the end of the day, sure, there are some publishers that might say, hey, I'd rather make a lot of money now and worry about it later. But if somebody's in the game of long-term business and long-term revenue and can take the conservative approach, that is a conversation that should be had very transparently. We talked a little bit about, like, for example, CCPA. And so some of the things that have come out, as great as it is for data privacy, it has added on additional challenges for consumers to even be opted out now. And so now there's additional data sharing in order to help this consumer opt out from somewhere where in the past, like to the other question, you could have just opted out from everything and no longer get any marketing. So now, trying to stay compliant is almost, doing the reverse effect, but that doesn't mean that there's no great way to actually have these conversations and come up with something that works for everybody in the consumer. So regulatory challenges are always going to be there. And I think the longer, marketing is there, which it will be, just simply because consumers still need the products that they're looking for, regulation will keep changing. And so I really always encourage our clients, and we do the same thing on our side, just stay on top of it. You don't have to be the lawyer. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know when to reach out for help. And so I think that giving that ability to your marketers to reach out to you for help, or you regularly looking at their ads and their campaigns and their copies to make sure that they're following any of the regulations that come through is really helpful.
Great point. There's a lot to keep up with there.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's an ever-changing environment, and as we talked about before, it's it's a lot of the government making a lot of decisions that the consumers, it's up in the air whether the consumer really backs those decisions or not, because the consumers ultimately want to be able to find the products and services that they're looking for, and it just makes it so much more difficult with these regulatory challenges. But I like what you said earlier and how you told us that that's something that Phonexa is doing to help with their clients understand and sort of navigate those challenges, and that's
yes, definitely. I mean, we don't try to be the compliance company for our clients. But what we do try to do is, because we are on top of the data privacy regulations and pretty much anything related to data, really, we add tools into our system to give our clients the ability to implement them in their own way, whether that's, the ability to upload new regulations for their marketers to look at, or for tools to have opt-out suppression list management on their websites, or for setting up your IVR in a way where your call center is treated or is trained to give all of the regulatory updates to the consumers when they're live on the call. So we make sure to provide all of those. And sometimes, depending on the industry our clients are in, sometimes they'll say, hey, this will really help me stay in compliance with this regulation. Is there anything we can do to service us? And so we'll sit down, we'll brainstorm, and we'll say, okay, we can add a tool that helps you help your customers as well as stay in compliance. So we do as much as we can, but at the end of the day, the industries are so different and regulation applies to companies in so many different ways. And that's why, going back to my point, having those transparent regulatory conversations with our clients really helps. And it actually helps them have those conversations with their vendors and the marketers to make sure that everybody's kind of on the same boat. Because at the end of the day, if there's a data breach, everybody's affected. It's not just the consumers, the companies. Obviously there's the SOC 2 compliance and all these things, but regardless of how many tools you have in place, constant monitoring is very important. Technology at the end of the day is not foolproof, and there's still human touch involved in making sure that everything is operating properly, whether it's from a regulatory perspective or compliance or even just a seamless transaction.
Definitely. Yeah, as a marketer myself, I mean, I appreciate people like you, partners like you, who we're able to lean on, because there's way too much there to track. And it's just like we were talking about earlier. It's only going to get worse. I don't want to say worse. Hopefully it'll get better, but in terms of all the different moving parts that we have to follow, and the different rules and regulation, they change in different states.
It just gets more and more complex. Maybe that's the word.
That's the word. Yeah. Exactly. So, all right. Well, that's really great. Let's move into our fourth topic, though, because this is one of my favorites. This is one we ask all of our guests, and it's, what are your favorite tools in your tech stack?
Good question. I'll try not to be biased here, considering the history and the fact that we have been in the affiliate marketing space. We have, used many different tools, and it's actually the reason Phonexa was built to even bring those tools in one place. So I'll give you the categories first, right? My favorite tools are the ones that could do multiple things. But my ultimate favorite ones are, even if they can do multiple things, they do them right. You don't want to have a one-stop shop where it's jack of all trades. You want to actually make sure they specialize in what you're asking for, and actually can integrate with the tools that you do need to have in order to be a specialized process, in order to have a specialized process. So outside of the regular HubSpot for CRM, a lot of our clients use CRMs. It's not just HubSpot, it's many of them. We actually have to integrate with them for our clients, because we don't service them as a CRM. We are the marketing tool that sits in front of the CRM, and in order for us to give the whole experience to this customer or their consumers, we have to be able to integrate with these tools. In addition to that, I mean, now I'll put my CPA hat on. I love QuickBooks. I don't know what it is about QuickBooks. I know there's amazing ERP systems out there, but it's definitely been something that I have implemented a long time ago within the company, and it's our go-to. It's like our accounting Bible, and so we definitely we use it for many different things, and so now we're actually. Here's a quick note. We're integrating QuickBooks into Phonexa now, because we have that accounting platform inside Phonexa. And so while we don't really have to do it, we just thought that it will make our clients' lives easier to integrate an accounting platform with their main accounting platform, so there's seamless process in place.
Oh, I love that. So I got 3 there. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. I got HubSpot, QuickBooks, and Phonexa.
That's right.
And they all integrate. So you said that you help your clients with HubSpot, but you guys also use it, and it's one of your favorite tools too?
That's right. Yes, we do. And the other big one is, we obviously we're server hosted and we use Google. And so that's always been a great relationship for us because as of a couple weeks ago, we're also in the Google Marketplace. So it's not just their tools that are amazing, it's also their experience that has been really good with us. So because our clients use a lot of Google products and we use it, we've been able to get everything seamlessly integrated.
Yeah, Google is on a kick these days. I think, they saw Bing reaching up on some of their market share. And so, yeah, it's been interesting. They just came out with a new calendar tool. There's like Google Premium now, a couple different things.
Their workspace for emails is actually, they have so many tools that most companies probably don't use. Just the other day I was on it and they have these little icons where you can do like your calendars, you can take notes, you can have your chats, you can have your emails all in one place that talk to each other, but most people actually use different tools for those. So my next task is to actually see what else we can use inside the workspace that they have.
Yeah, really cool. All right, well, we've got time for some post-topic questions. I know I hear in my comments from some of the viewers who at least watch on podcasts that this is one of their favorite. They like to hear about, your background and how you came to be, CEO of Phonexa. But one question we like to ask is, if you could go back to when you first started, what would be your number one piece of advice that you would give yourself now?
Brace yourself. So, all jokes aside, it's kind of interesting because, career changes happen a lot for many different people at different stages of their life for very good reasons. And so I do a lot of speaking sessions, especially for women in technology, because obviously it's a male dominated space. It's a little scary. And so some of the things that I talk about is my history of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so while I might have a CPA license and my background is in finance, when I joined the company, I was actually given the title of VP of Finance and Accounting, but I was tasked to actually start a finance department and implement all of the tools, hence QuickBooks. And so essentially, like what I said was 6 months into the job, I was like, okay, I can really automate my job. And so I asked, the company owner, I said, can I have a developer to work with in order to automate this? And we did that. We automated the AR and AP process. And now, because everything is done properly and I just have to watch over what's happening from a technical perspective, I asked to be more on strategy. And then that's when I fell in love with technology. It wasn't even when I first entered the technology space. So one of the advice I always give, even if you enter a company, try different things within the company. You might enter as an accountant, but something else might be really great for you that works out, whether it's the marketing department. If you don't know what your actual specialty skill sets are, I do encourage you to have the conversation with your supervisor or owner, depending on how large the company is, and have them let you try out different things. Had I not done that, I would have probably progressed up until CFO and stayed really in the finance realm, which would have been great. CFO is a great job, but to me, instead of looking at numbers all day and analyzing financials all day, I'd rather look at applying the numbers and financials to the actual business and then tying that loop around. So again, not something that everybody can do or wants to do, but I think there's opportunities in many companies for employees to really look into where they want to progress, not just the title that they were given.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I love what you said about how you kind of organized yourself out of the job by, setting up automations and API. I think a lot of people could probably do that.
Yeah, and it happened to be whatever we ended up building for accounting now happens to be a platform within Phonexa that clients can use as well. So it worked out on all perspectives. Now it makes money too.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. So,
Story.
yeah. So going off that, are there any other lessons that you've learned along the way from, past jobs or this current job that you think everyone should know?
It's not so much about the job. I will tell you one thing that kept me sane. So I'm married, I have 2 kids, but I didn't have my kids when I joined the company. And so obviously there's the transitional period of starting a family and all of these. What I found to be the most rewarding for me is to find an actual hobby outside of work that is just mine and it really makes sense. And so like running became one of my main hobbies, and then reading is another one. But I think that it's really important when you're in a high stress environment, and technology can very well be that high stress environment. Find some time to yourself. Like even if it's like 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, or 2 hours a week, whatever it is. If you have a partner at home, if you have kids, make sure that they're all aware that you need your me time, and really stick to it though. Really stick to what it is. Change it if you have to, but find the one that really works for you, for your mental state, and for you to be able to wake up in the morning and be excited to go to work because you're looking forward to this hobby of yours, or your hobby makes work manageable and tolerable. Because I'm not going to lie and say it's all sunshine in the business world, because challenges do come. It can be challenges way outside of your ability to fix, environmental economic challenges being one of them. And so it's not your fault, but you tend to take it all upon yourself and try to fix everybody's problems. But you can't do any of that if you're not fixing your own problems, and you're not keeping yourself active or mentally healthy or happy. Nobody else, from an executive perspective, nobody else will benefit from it if you're not doing it yourself.
Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. We always encourage everyone to find ways to stay mentally healthy. I mean, for me, I can't start my day without either workout or a run in the morning, and it's just it helps me focus. It gets me started in the day and gives me the energy to get through my day and get everything done. Without it,
That's a key.
I
Yeah.
miss it. It's just I can feel it right away. Like if I go
That's
into a day without that, it's just the day is more of a struggle, and it's
And there is something to be said about doing that hobby first, right? Like I'm a
Mhm.
runner too, and I run in the morning because
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing I can possibly do to my body when I first wake up.
Mhm.
And so everything else seems easier during the
Yeah.
day. Some people call it cold showers, right? It never gets easy
Mhm.
to have a cold shower because it hits you the same way, shocks you the same way every morning. But it is the hardest thing that you do when you wake up, and so the rest of the day seems fair.
Definitely. Well, that
That's
might
right.
be the most important point of this whole conversation. And I know I had to, I'm a mom of 2 children too. I had to make sure that my family knew I have a particular time of the week. On Fridays are mine. They know it's mine. So I had to train them into that though. But yeah, I'm really glad that I did that because we do need to step away and take care of ourselves first. Good
That's right.
stuff. Well, anything else either of you would like to add on any of the topics that we've covered?
You know what?
Data's fun.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot. I think that our listeners really gained a lot from our conversation today, Lilith, and really appreciate you joining us.
This
Definitely.
was really fun, guys. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you both as well.
Could you please let our listeners know how they could reach out to you?
Yeah, I have a pretty unique name. Google it. But no, to be fair, LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can find me just by typing my name and last name and Phonexa next to it in LinkedIn, and connect with me. And I'm very responsive, so I'd love to connect with whoever has additional questions or wants to just chat.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It was absolutely a pleasure having you on. And we'd love to hear from our listeners per usual. So if anyone listening here knows of someone that should be on the Deconstructing Data podcast, send them our way. Let us know at info@bdex.com. Send us your qualitative data to us so we can make this better for you. But this has been a great conversation. So thanks again, Lilit.
Thank you.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.